Hi guys, good morning. This is Dan. Welcome to Engelgeist. For those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. This is the daily forecast for those for all signs for the greater collective. For those of you that support me over on Patreon, thank you so very much for your subscriptions. In the video description on the YouTube channel, if you look at that, there's different ways you can support the channel. By hitting the thumbs up button, by subscribing, by tuning in, by asking questions or leaving comments. All that is great ways of support. And please read everything in the video description just so you have an understanding of what I kind of want you to keep in mind as you use any of my readings. So this is the daily forecast. We are working on Monday, the 12th of April. This is not solely set for that date. It is set for... it is for basically then, but also whenever you may see it. So if you're seeing it on a date if you're looking at this at a date that's not April 12th, that's okay. You don't have to turn it off. It still might apply to you or what's going on in your life at this time. So take that into account. For those of you that watch with me regularly, this is us just building on the energy from the weekly reading that happened yesterday. We have that new moon in Aries. Pretty exciting energy there. Talk about dynamic creation. That would have happened last night. So, definitely what we're thinking on, reflecting upon, wanting to create whatever we're desirous of. Let's get with it, especially with that Empress card energy that we saw for the beginning of the week as the underpin. So let's see what's going on here in the cards. What do the cards want us to know for today? So our card for the day, wow, okay, the High Priestess. Let's get it. All right, High Priestess is Piscean energy. She's card number 2 of the Major Arcana. This is our 4th Major Arcana in 2 readings. We had all 3 Major Arcana yesterday, so I'm going to say that again, we're talking about some significant energy at work, right? We do have that new moon in Aries, Aries being the first sign of the zodiac, that being a fire, is a sign of fire, about, quick action, decisive movement, quick movement, sort of like seeing it and just making it happen, right? And then when you have that new moons are always about creation and adding to our creation or building upon it. So I feel like we have that energy going on with all of those Major Arcana cards that we had from the weekly, and now we see the High Priestess here. She's Piscean energy, right? Which is very intuitive, very tapped in, very tuned in, very turned on in a way. She's also associated with like the world of secrets, spiritual secrets, the higher realms, and that sort of a knowledge that we may be hopefully able to tap into today. When we see that we have her plus the underpinning energy of that Empress. Damn, this is a powerful, creative, divine, feminine energy that we have going on today that we want to tap into, that we want to access, that we want to trust and work with. I think that the High Priestess represents sort of spirit, where the Empress, her underpin would represent like the physical, right? So we have the spiritual and the physical kind of working together. Now, the spiritual may not make a whole lot of sense. That would be the High Priestess, in the sense we might be drawn towards certain things. We might be picking up on certain things intuitively that we wouldn't necessarily, maybe it doesn't quite make sense or we're not quite sure. Trust that information though, right? Take those, how do I want to say this? Like, take that action when needed to, but listen to your intuition first and foremost, and then allow the creativity of the Empress to kind of carry you through this day, if that makes sense. I love how tuned in she is here in this card. She definitely feels like she's turning inward. She's answering her own questions for herself, not looking to the outside world for those questions or for those answers to her questions, right? It's all within her as the High Priestess. So we want to use that sort of knowingness, that claircognizance, that awareness and connection to our own higher selves or our own guides or gods, and ideally allow that to be our guide. Plus, when we have the power of that Empress underneath, there is this extremely strong, creative, fertile what's the word I want to say, like platform, grounds that we're working with right now that we want to not take for granted. Does that make sense? The high priestess will guide us in a correct way, I guess is the best way, in an accurate way. But we have to be paying attention to the signals, right? We don't want to be so caught up in the day-to-day drama and the stuff that might divert our attention away from the higher sort of messages, guidance that is within us. And she's here to remind us that it is within us and allow it to sort of center us and bring us through whatever it is we may be either working through or heading towards. Now let's look to the Lightworker Oracle. Alchemical mutation. Wow. So there's it's card number 31. Sorry about the sun rays. They're sort of weird this morning. They're kind of beaming in through the slats in the window. Card number 31, which is a 4, which is about stability to me. When I look at this, there's a freedom that's happening amongst this man. He's down here and he's sort of looks as though he's working. It's interesting to me, both of their eyes are closed. They almost look similar with the hair color too. The masculine and the feminine sort of blending together. He's sort of bore down onto the earth like we would see with that Empress energy. She is up in the spirit, heading towards the higher heights of spirit, or this is his spirit sort of moving up and away to his higher self, right? Similar to what we see here in the High Priestess. So we have like the Empress version. This would be the masculine version of the Empress and the High Priestess, all in this card. As far as parallels of what I'm seeing, I hope that makes sense. I do like the balance between the masculine and feminine today. I do like that this is card number 4, which would indicate a sort of certain, ideally, a certain sort of stability or moving ourselves towards that stability. The alchemical mutation is where I think this falls into this story, or what we're looking at here, is that the mutation of sort of the Empress, the earthiness and the creativity of the Empress and the spiritual and secrecy and higher understanding of the High Priestess kind of coming together. And in a way, alchemy, or like sort of a magic, they alchemically mutate together to create a sort of spiritual being that is connected to the earth, right? That's what we see with this gentleman in this card. He's sort of hands and feet down on the earth, yet also his soul or his spirit is able to connect to the divine and fly free. And we can do that today, hopefully. That would be the case. Remember, the grounding stone for this week is that stone of happiness. So if there's anything out there that makes us happy, that we feel sort of intuitively drawn towards, that brings us pleasure, because that would also be Empress energy too, her being associated with the planet of Venus, that sort of idea of like an earthly pleasure. And I don't just mean, the things that bring us joy, happiness. Go after them and allow these two energies to sort of alchemically blend or mutate into something quite powerful and enjoyable for you today. Let's read alchemical mutation. Your spiritual growth is changing your mind, body, and soul. It is very real. It is helping you fulfill all aspects of your divine destiny. It is awakening spiritual talents and attracting in new energies. This process will bring tremendous joy and satisfaction. And then the invocation is, I call upon the beings that love me unconditionally and ask for divine grace, protection, information, assistance, intervention, and healing in all ways now, as I change alchemically. May my body and mind be supported and recover with divine assistance. I celebrate the alchemy that the light creates, and with kindness I allow for it to unfold in my body, mind, and soul according to the guiding hand of divine love. May all those on the path of love and light be assisted to walk their path with as much joy and as little suffering as possible. Through my own free will and divine grace, so be it. Now remember the beauty of that new moon in Aries, Aries being the first sign of the 12 signs of the zodiac. Not only are we in a new moon phase, right, where it's all about creation and starting over, but we're also in a new moon in the beginning of the 12 zodiac signs, right? So it's like a new cycle, a new moon within the new cycle of cycling, starting with Aries. Does that make sense? I hope I expressed that the correct way. So to me, I feel like today's the day to sort of tune in, tap in, and both spiritually and physically start to decide where it is we want to be, where it is we want to head, how it is we want to change. Harness those changes, allow them to come to you, and chase them with as much sort of joy, happiness, and exuberance or excitement as you can, because to me, these cards really feel like it's available to us today, especially in this new moon cycle. Let's look to the grounding stone. And so for the grounding stone today is on Tiger's Eye, and the word is forgive. I always look at this and I think, who do we need to forgive? But also, how and where can we forgive ourselves? For like maybe past wrongdoings, things that limit us, shames that we might carry, sadnesses, angers, resentments, things that we need to sort of release so that we can be lighter, like this spirit that's sort of lifting up out of his body in this alchemical mutation. If we want that joy, we want that happiness, we want that love, we do have to sort of allow ourselves to understand that we deserve it and that it's available to us. And we do that through the act of forgiveness, not only for ourselves, but for those around us. When we harbor resentments or anger or any of that sort of stuff, it makes it so much harder for us to reach the sort of, alchemical or spiritual heights that I sort of feel like these cards are trying to project towards us. Remember, we do have that devil card in the midweek. We don't necessarily have to see that devil if we choose not to. We can affect change and make choices so that we don't have to be challenged by those things. But maybe those challenges will allow us to sort of step into this new way of being, this new way of perceiving, this new desire that we may have within us to want to aspire to something more, right? I feel like with the Empress and the High Priestess working together, and then this card of alchemical mutation, we're being told to do exactly that. Forgive those around us who maybe have not, validated us or honored us in a way that we felt as though we should. It's time to give ourselves that honor, ourselves, right? And also forgive ourselves for anything that we might hold ourselves accountable for, that, maybe hinders us in our growth and in our evolution. I hope that makes sense, guys. That is your forecast for the day. Please tune in. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, and we'll see how this all plays out. It should be a very, very interesting week just with the cards that we're seeing so far. And again, thank you all so much for watching and tuning in. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, and we will see where this all goes. All right, have a great day and take care. Bye-bye.